Hello guys, today's Archer for Fights, and today we're gonna react to top 10 scary Star Wars theories from most amazing top 10. Like, who likes Star Wars? Everyone does. Who likes scary stuff? Everyone does. So this is the perfect video to me to choose to show it all to you. Let's get started with the vid.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going way back to a long time ago, to a galaxy far away, to look at people's theories when it comes to Star Wars. But not just any fan theories, the creepy ones. The ones that make the bad guys look worse, and even the good guys kind of look a little bit evil. If you're not a Star Wars fan, you'll love how crazy some of these are. If you are a Star Wars fan, well then join me and
My channel is a Star Wars fan.
Try and break down these theories. My name is Danny Burke, and this is the top 10 scary Star Wars theories. Just before we get into this video, I want to say thank you to Marple for sponsoring us.
We're not watching the shout out.
Place to get. I thought they have a theories out there. Jar Jar Binks has traditionally been seen as a bit of a comic relief character in Star Wars, a gimmick for the kids to help contrast the story's darker narrative. This theory says you got it all wrong. Jar Jar Binks was actually a master of the Force, specifically the dark side. Jar Jar appears to have physical skills that we'd normally associate with Force users, effortlessly leaping and swimming around at will. During a battle scene, we see Jar Jar destroy a tank and a number of droids in what looks like a lucky goof. Now, believers in this theory say there's no such thing as luck, that all of the goofing around is just a ploy to hide his true self from those around him. Just like Palpatine, he proves himself to be a powerful orator when in front of the Senate. Some say he was actually using mind control on them. The theory says that Jar Jar is essentially the dark side version of Yoda, someone who seems like a bubbling, strange creature on the outside, but is actually one of the most powerful Force users in the galaxy. Next up at number 9 now, we have Owen and Beru. Luke returning to his home on Tatooine to find that his uncle Owen and Aunt Beru have been killed is one of the most devastating and iconic scenes in Star Wars. Many people presumed that it was stormtroopers that carried out the murders. The thing is, that's generally just a presumption because the deaths don't actually appear on screen. Because of this, a vacuum has appeared for people to come up with their own theories. One of them is that Boba Fett, the bounty hunter, carried out the killings. People claim that the canon reveals that Boba Fett was on Tatooine at that time. He also had the means and opportunity to kill Owen and Beru. There's also the fact that Owen and Beru were presumably killed because they refused to give up information on Luke's whereabouts. Darth Vader himself once stated that only he can carry out interrogations that result in death. Therefore, stormtroopers would be forbidden from doing this, but not a bounty hunter. The next time we see Boba Fett, he's told by Vader to not disintegrate anyone. Many people feel this was a direct reference to him disintegrating Owen and Beru. What do you guys think? Coming in at number 8 now, we have Sith Lord Qui-Gon Jinn. This one might actually break a few hearts here. We all know Qui-Gon Jinn was the Jedi apprentice to Count Dooku before he turned to the dark side. Some people think that before Count Dooku turned, he tainted Qui-Gon with the same sort of dark seeds that led to his own fall from the light side. In the first episode of the prequels, Yoda senses fear and anger in Qui-Gon Jinn when the Jedi Council refuses to train Anakin. Now, people say these are not Jedi-like traits. The traditional view of this is that Qui-Gon sees Anakin's potential for good and decides to train him himself. This theory claims, though, that Qui-Gon, now on the dark side, decided to train Anakin because he sees his potential for evil in the galaxy. That's kind of
Not true. I don't think so. He did see the future of the young Anakin Skywalker, but I don't think so.
Moving on to number 7 now, we have Darth Maul. The first time we meet Sith Lord Darth Maul is in the 1999 Star Wars movie, The Phantom Menace. Some think that we actually see his face a lot sooner than that, though. In the scene from A New Hope, where Luke tells Owen and Beru that the droids may have been stolen, we see a little bit of their homestead. Now, most people watch the characters or listen to the conversation, but some people looked up. There, on the ceiling, is a pattern that looks a lot like Darth Maul's facial tattoos. Now, there are a number of theories going around about this. One of them is that it's just a similar looking pattern. People are reading way too much into it. On the other end of the scale, though, some people think that it's Darth Maul's face pattern on their ceiling, and that means that Owen and Beru are in league with the Sith. Yeah. I know, it is a bit of a leap, but some people think it's true. They say that the Lars family were instructed to raise Luke and eventually bring him round to the dark side. It's a crazy theory and a little bit scary, so
it's a crazy theory.
that's why it's on this list. Next up at number 6 now, we have Force love. For some Star Wars fans, the love between Anakin and Padme never really looked like a match made in heaven. Why did Padme end up with a man that she knew when he was just a boy? Why did she seem to blindly abandon her own ideals for him? For example, when Anakin slays an entire village of sand people, men, women and children, Padme tells him that being angry is natural and also uses it as a chance to tell him that she loves him. Now that's a little bit strange for a woman who was a staunch pacifist when she was on the Senate. The theory is that she's not really in love with Anakin. He is manipulating her with the Force to make her love him. In the picnic scene, when Padme refers to herself as being weak-minded, he doesn't even contradict her. Is this because he agrees? Because he has had experience with manipulating her weak
Oh my gosh, sorry guys.
mind? He may even be doing all of this subconsciously. What do you guys think of this theory? Coming in at number 5 now, we have feral Ewoks. Most people find Ewoks cute. Yeah, sure, a little bit annoying, but cute. Look at them. They're George Lucas's excuse to bring teddy bears to life. Many people don't like them, but there they are. They help the rebels defeat the Empire on Endor using little more than ropes and arrows.
I kind of like them.
That's all great, but they may also eat humans. Yeah, not so great. Why do people think this? Well, firstly, they almost served up Han and Luke as meals for the whole tribe. People tend to forget this detail because Leia arrived on the scene and saved them, but without that, 2 of the heroes would have actually been torn apart and eaten by Ewoks. At one point, we also see an Ewok using a pair of stormtrooper helmets as drums. Some people think that those helmets are like the shells of a snail, which has recently been eaten, if you get what I mean. Think about it. Or don't. Next up at number 4 now, we have Vader's weakness. Over the course of the Star Wars saga, we learn just how truly powerful Darth Vader is. Some even argue the strongest Force user in all of history, and also not too bad with a lightsaber either. It did come as a bit of a surprise then that Luke, a kind of scrawny guy with a relatively recent training in the Force, was able to really give Vader a run for his money when they faced off at the end of Return of the Jedi. Why is this? Well, some people think it's all down to Leia. When the fight took place, Luke had recently learned that Leia was his sister. Vader must have also picked up on this, and the knowledge that he has a daughter must have shocked him to his core. Not only that, he must have realized in that moment that he had been responsible for torturing his own daughter and destroying her home planet. That could be enough to distract anyone when they're fighting their son in a battle to the death. Moving on to number 3 now, we have Emperor Rey. In Star Wars, it's sometimes
This sounds kind of dumb.
feels like everyone is related to everyone. Well, everyone except Rey. There's always been a lot of speculation about how Rey connects to the wider Star Wars family. One theory has emerged that she is related to Emperor Palpatine. Perhaps she's even his granddaughter. There are a number of things that fans of this theory point to as proof. Firstly, they say her fighting style is very similar to the way we see Emperor Palpatine fight in Revenge of the Sith. Rey also seems to struggle with being pulled to aspects of the dark side. She kind of loved telling Kylo Ren that he'll never be as great as Darth Vader. She also seemed to genuinely exhibit real flashes of anger throughout the whole saga. Next up at number 2 now, we have Han's Force. It seems like Han Solo is the opposite of the Force users in the movies. He doesn't really care for any of it. He mocks Luke and Obi-Wan for their hokey religion and has no need for a lightsaber with a blaster by his side. However, some people have put forward the theory that Han is actually extremely Force sensitive and that he could even be a Jedi Master with training. If that sounds crazy, the support from this theory mainly revolves around Han's extreme luck. Now, if you look at Han's story throughout the movies, you can see he manages to survive some pretty impossible situations. His survival seems to defy all odds. Some say he's just lucky, others say this was subconscious channeling of the Force. That's why when he mocks Obi-Wan and his hokey religion, Obi-Wan just smiles because he senses the Force within Han Solo. I'm not too sure about this one though. I kind of like it. What do you guys think? And finally, number 1 now, we have Rey the villain. Some people, not many, I'll admit, but some people think that Rey is actually the villain of the latest Star Wars movies. They say that there is always balance in the Force and that if Kylo Ren is to flip to the good side by the end of the story, then Rey will be the one to flip to the dark side. They say we will find out she is the child or perhaps the grandchild of a Jedi such as Obi-Wan and was left on a planet far away from the Empire's grasp. When she learns that she was abandoned because of a strange rule about Jedi having no children, she will be filled with rage and sent over the edge, possibly learning all of this from Luke, who had a similar experience but did not turn. As the icing on the cake, some have also pointed out Rey's accent. It's an English accent, and if you haven't noticed already, all the bad guys, pretty much, except for Obi-Wan, have an English accent. John Boyega, who plays Finn, is also English in real life, but he was told to put on an American accent for the character. Not Rey, though. Is this accent a sort of foreshadowing of events to come? Or are all of these just crazy theories? Let me know what your favourite one was. Let me know which you think is the most likely to happen coming up next. Hopefully these theories don't look too ridiculous by the time the next movie comes out at the end of this year. Thanks again to Marple for the amazing hoodie and phone case.